Hi, everyone.
Hey everyone, it is September 20th, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
2021.
2021. 2021.
Yes, 2021 is correct. So,
Yes.
anyway, welcome. It's Monday, 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and we are Coachella Valley Direct Primary Care. I am Dr. Michael Kim,
And I'm Dr. Krista Burris.
and we welcome you to our show. And this is a COVID-19 update specifically for the Coachella Valley, but our valley also mirrors a lot of what's going on. So, how are you today, Dr. Burris?
I'm doing great. I'm happy it's Monday. I've had kind of a nice morning. The temperature outside is tolerable. It's pleasant. This is my favorite week of the year. It'll probably get hot again, but today was pretty good. How about you?
That's good. Nothing horrible has happened. It's Monday. It's the weekend was good. I think the data looks good. So, overall, it's we're getting into our good season here. Mm-hmm. So, I can't
definitely.
Wait. Yeah.
Well, do you want to start looking at the graphs?
Sure, I look at them and you can explain them.
Sounds good. We'll look at our first one. And this is a daily update from the county. And they haven't put their Monday data up yet. So this is from last Friday. And what you'll see here is that we've had sort of a decrease in our reported cases over the last couple weeks. However, remember that some of these numbers lag, so it hasn't been quite as much of a huge drop. And you can see that reflected in that fact that we had 700 cases in one day reported on last Friday. So let's go ahead down a little bit. Let's go down all the way to the bottom. Yeah, that one. So what this shows us here is they finally updated this graph. Yay, Riverside. And so you'll see here that the number of tests being done is reflected in the blue bars, and the percent of them that are coming back positive is reflected in the yellow line. And so you see the Delta wave hit us, and we started having an increase in our positivity rate in the county. And then our testing went up a bit, which is reflective of more people getting symptoms and more people getting sick. And so more people are demanding or needing tests. And so the testing demand went up, the testing capacity was there, and so more tests were being done. And then as Delta has sort of peaked and now is coming down a bit, we're seeing our positivity rates also going down. And this has been reflected in the experience of most of the institutions in the valley, that they are seeing a decrease in their positivity rates, a decrease in the number of positive cases. And so we'll look at that a little in the Coachella Valley specific data from last week. And that is on our next slide. So this is from last Monday. Remember, these reports, unfortunately, only come out once a week. And so this represents the data from the week before last. So just giving you kind of that framework. Later today, hopefully we'll find the data come out for last week, but this is the most up-to-date information we have at this moment. And what we're seeing is reflective of what's been seen in the county. We're having still a fair amount of transmission, but it's definitely improving. So less cases. Again, those weekly deaths are lagging. And I think we talked about this a little bit, that we actually have had more local deaths than this. So some of those have not been reflected yet in the data. And that has to do more with how deaths are reported out. Because in order for a death to be reported to the county, there's a lot of paperwork that has to occur on the administrative side, both by the doctor and by the hospital. So it's not unusual for deaths to lag in the reporting world by a couple weeks, sometimes even more. So that's why we personally know the deaths are higher than this, but we'll probably see them reported out either in today's data or next Monday's. Okay, so let's go down a bit. Also, there was this weird thing that happened with the hospitalization data. Like, supposedly we halved our hospital numbers in one day. Something's missing here. I don't know what it is. I don't have the inside scoop on this data. I do think that it's unlikely that we went down that much in one day. I think what happened is this also represents a little bit of lag from the holiday weekend. I do think those later in the week numbers where we're getting the 90s are probably pretty accurate. So I think we're at around 90 for the Valley hospital-wise, and ICU also, I think those are pretty accurate at around 15, 17 right now. So let's go down a bit further on this, and we'll see we're doing pretty well in our positivity rate. If you remember, we were up around 14%, then we came down to 12, then we came down more like 8, and we're down around 6. So improving. Once we get below 5, we'll be out of what used to be kind of that purple tier range, and we'll be back down into what would be considered moderate transmission instead of high. So just remembering that we're still up in this like high transmission range, even though our numbers are improving, there's still a lot of virus circulating out there. So it's improving, but it's not like completely where it was before Delta hit. So that's it for our slides today. There's been a lot of news.
Well, overall, what do you think of the data? I mean, that was a lot of data.
Okay.
What would you like? 1-sentence summary or 2-sentence summary?
It's encouraging because it's heading in the right direction. It's frustrating because the county is lagging a bit in sharing the data, but I don't see anything that's giving me like anxiety that we might be heading in the wrong direction. It looks like we're still heading in the right direction.
No, I agree. And I think what I want to say to everyone is that, the data that's out shouldn't change what we're doing right now, right? Whether it was getting worse or better, we should continue doing the same thing and not say, oh, we're at 6.4%. If we get to 5%, then we can back off in this and this, because that's how the numbers will turn back around again.
Right.
And so if we stay in this, this same lane that we're in, where if you can get vaccinated, wear your mask at the appropriate times, social distance, whether the numbers go up or down, we'll continue to be okay rather than doing this wide yo-yo stuff.
Right. So, I mean, for me, when the transmission rates go back down, I do relax a little bit. I think that's probably human nature. I don't relax so far as to walk into a grocery store without my mask on, but I might not really think too hard about which time of day I went. When transmission rates are really high, I try to go early in the morning.
Right.
But when transmission rates are low, I might run in after work, even though it's really busy, wearing my mask. But, I think there is still a little bit of mental shift that I go through, at least.
No, we all will, but I'm just trying to tell people not to make so much shift, because the numbers will lag. And if everyone at 5% said, we can all go to Disneyland now, then those numbers will shoot.
5% still moderately high transmission rate, and that's
But like you said, from 10 to 5, that's halving it.
Yeah, so that's
it'll
really
feel
good.
Like it's
And from a healthcare perspective, we see the huge improvement in the number of people coming in, so that helps tremendously.
Right.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the data that came out today, some of the announcements that were made today, and the fact that today is September 20th, which is the day that the administration from the federal government had announced that they wanted to start doing boosters for everyone. Did that happen? And if not, why not?
Officially, no, but yes, some people have gotten boosters. We know that, right?
Legally or under the table?
No, there were boosters out there and people got them. I don't think officially they're out for everyone, but we do know that some people got boosters.
Okay, so we can talk about that. They actually are recommended for some people right now, and they're not really calling them boosters, they're calling them third doses. But basically, it's for people who are immunocompromised who might not have responded well to the vaccine series initially. So those are people on immunosuppressive drugs who have underlying diseases that affect their immune system, but not for everyone who's considered high risk for COVID yet. The White House made their announcement, but honestly, they don't control the FDA's decision making on this. And what the advisory committee said last week, and again, this is just an advisory committee to the FDA. This is not the FDA's decision yet. We just have a committee, like a subcommittee, making a report. And they said their recommendation was to just advise boosters for people who are in high risk categories, either because of a medical condition, an age, or a profession. And so I think it's likely that we're going to see the FDA come out with an EUA, an emergency use authorization, for the vaccines to be used as a booster for these specific categories. So it'll kind of be for those people who were initially allowed to get the vaccine anyway. So the people who are 65 and older, the people who are in high-risk professions. And honestly, I think this correlates with the people who would be about due now anyway. These are the people that got their vaccines back in January. So I suspect we're going to see that official EUA come out in the next week. That's best guess, at which point they'll be allowed to give third doses or boosters to the people in those categories only. Right. But we'll see what the actual details are on that when it does come out. But that's the word on the doctor street right now, is that that's probably coming down next week, even though the White House wanted it done by today.
Right. No, I agree with you. I think that's probably how it's going to shake out. I do think part of the reason why the White House said it, even though they didn't say it this way, they should have said, in my opinion, whatever the FDA rules, we are going to make sure the infrastructure is there. That if they said everyone or one person or this small narrow group, we will be able to deploy this seamlessly. Yeah. We need a 2, 3, 4 week runway. Yeah. That I think would have been more reasonable rather than saying, we're going to release it to everyone. Because like you said, theoretically they could. They are the White House. They do, everything falls under their purview. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they will allow the FDA to do their job. Yeah. But I think part of the reason why they said that is so that they can get their infrastructure ready. But they didn't say that's why they were doing it. So
yeah, they said pending FDA approval, we're ready to go on September 20th. Yeah. But their FDA wasn't ready to make their announcement. Right. In reality, this should make us all feel a little bit better about the way the process is working, because it is sort of working as it was designed, which was at the speed that it can go, rather than just at the speed that would be politically expedient or nice or, somebody wants it, Right. I would rather they take their time. And this sort of bridges to our next topic, which is vaccines for children.
So I think that actually needs to be, in my opinion, what FDA pushes out in the front. Because I think the news with the Pfizer vaccine that you'll go over is a game changer in terms of the impact that it's going to get rather than a booster for the people that already have.
Right.
But that's just my thought.
I would much rather the people who are spending their time poring over data spend their time poring over the kids stuff rather than the booster stuff.
Well, why don't you talk about the Pfizer data?
So Pfizer made an announcement this morning, which sort of signals that they're preparing to apply for an emergency use authorization for the younger children. This would be the 5 to 11 age group. And their announcement was that their vaccine appears to be safe and effective, basically, is what they're saying. So that announcement usually precedes the application. And then once the FDA gets the application, they'll review that data, even in an expedited form, which means they drop everything else and they just study that and everybody works on it. It's probably still going to take a few weeks because they have been very, very cautious about these vaccines in kids. And I think it's because they know so much as attention is put on it that they cannot afford to have a misstep. And so they've gone back and asked for more data. They've been slow to make any statements. They've made no timeline statements. There's just, random people like us making guesses. So they haven't been signaling that they're about to approve it. I think that there's a lot of growing demand for the vaccine in this age group. And so I think that there's some pressure on them, but so far they haven't signaled that they're giving into that pressure at all. And they're taking their sweet time. And so I don't think we'd see anything from them on an approval for at least 3 weeks. So that's looking at more like end of October in my mind.
Right.
The dose that they studied in the children is not the same as was given to adults. It's a smaller dose. And we don't yet know what time period between first and second doses were studied in children. So did they use the same 3-week difference between the first and second dose that they used in their adult studies? Or did they, do a 2-arm study where they did one at 3 weeks and one at 4 weeks, more like Moderna, to see if that improved things? I don't know. We'll have to see when they actually put their data out there and make the application.
I would imagine that they did some higher dose, lower dose.
Yeah, and they may have done some weight-based dosing as well.
Yeah, I think that.
I think we're likely to see one dose come out for 5 to 11 in a certain weight category. And then if you're over that weight, you get the adult dose. I think that's probably what we'll see. And then I think we'll probably see an even different dose come out for recommendation when they finally do submit for the even younger children.
Right.
But that's not even on the horizon right now. Those studies are much slower. But in reality, if we have vaccinated the rest of our population, it protects our little kids.
Right.
So we have the tools we need now to protect the littlest guys that we're not going to have data for, probably for another year, maybe.
I would say probably longer than that.
Yeah, who knows?
Who wants to step into that mindset?
Yeah, so they will probably be slower and go the more traditional route on getting the infant level vaccination data out. But if we all are vaccinated, then we don't give it to the little guys. So do you have any questions about that, like fire hose of information?
No, I don't. But some questions might be, what would that mean if you 5 to 11-year-olds were vaccinated? Could schools fully open up?
Oh, yes. Well, depending on the vaccination rate in your school, if you had near 100% vaccination in 5 to 11-year-olds, basically we could do sports, we could do all of our normal assemblies, we could do activities. And if transmission rates in the community were low, we would not likely have to mask. We wouldn't have to distance. We'd still probably recommend things like hand washing and, people staying home when they were sick. But honestly, if we had high vaccination rates from age 5 and up, we would be back to normal. It just would be. So I don't know currently how long that's going to take to achieve, whether that's going to take us a couple years as a country to kind of get to that point. We'll see. But I'm not optimistic that by December we will have achieved near vaccination. Like, I think it's going to take a couple years.
Yeah, I'm a little more. I think there's more caveats to it. I agree with you, but I always have to disagree at some point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That I think testing is going to be a big factor. It doesn't mean that they can't spread it still. We know vaccinated people can still spread it. So, yeah, they're not going to get sick and, you can go, but then you're still going to spread it to others. And so.
Well, I think it's a moot point because I don't think that there's going to be near universal acceptance of this vaccine.
No, I agree.
So I think it doesn't even matter because we won't get there. But so I think we're still going to have problems with outbreaks. We're still going to have disagreements about whether masks are necessary in the grade schools, and we're still going to have outbreaks. Yeah.
But for us, at least for me, at least it's our last family member.
Yeah.
Our 9 or 10-year-old that can get vaccinated, which will decrease our stress level as to what he can and can't do, still being socially a good neighbor, saying, we know we can still spread it.
Yeah.
And we're going to try not to do that, but at least it will open up some more opportunities.
Yeah. And I think open up some more community-based activities and social activities.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it. I think we're probably out of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So recap.
So the FDA is not made an official announcement yet about boosters. The advisory committee of the FDA has made their recommendation, and it's not universal boosters. It's only boosters for people in high-risk groups, like with underlying conditions and over 65 or high-risk professions. And so the FDA is looking at that and are expected to give their final approval to some kind of booster for some kind of people this week. After that's done, then you'll start seeing boosters. Currently, they're only being given for people who are immunocompromised. And then on the other front, it looks like the vaccine, at least for Pfizer in the 5 to 11 age group, is moving forward, and they should apply for EUA in the next week, hopefully.
Right.
That's the summary.
And keep doing what you're doing. The data is looking good. We're coming down, but it doesn't mean it's going to keep going down, right? We hope it will, but keep doing what you're doing because it could easily just go up.
Yeah.
There's right now it's a 50-50 ball game. So.
Well, it's not completely random chance. We're doing the things that drive it down, so keep doing them because we need to keep driving it down.
We are, but we really can't say that will drive it down. That's all I'm saying is that if we do the right things, we hope the data will continue, and it probably will, but it doesn't mean that it will necessarily 100% for sure. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
I know you don't agree, but that's cool.
I don't.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week. Please join us on our next show.